Hi, I'm Rochelle Smith with She's So Wealthy, where we help you improve your mental, physical, spiritual, and financial well-being. Today, September. We're already into September, but the whole month is considered National Life Insurance Awareness Month. So today, we're going to talk about life insurance. And we're just going to talk about it. I mean, there are a lot of videos and articles that you can Google and look up different stuff about life insurance. I just want to talk about it. Just be as simple and in layman's terms as possible. So, first of all, when I think of life insurance, I think of protection. And that's how I want you to think of it. I want you to think of it as protection for your family, protection for the people that you love, protection of your assets. If you are wealthy, help with potential tax liability. There are all types of things that life insurance can be used for. But here's one thing that I hear all the time. Why am I paying all of this money for life insurance and I don't get anything out of it? Like I'm just paying it and, nothing's happening. You're right. Because just like with any other insurance, in order for it to pay out, usually something bad has to happen. Think about it. When you go buy a car, you don't even think twice about it. Or most people don't think twice about it. They think, hey, I need to have auto insurance because if there's an accident, if something happens and I'm responsible, I cannot bear the burden of fixing someone's car or my car. Or if it's a bad accident, maybe taking care of medical bills. So I want insurance to cover me, to help take care of that. In order for that insurance to pay out, something bad has to happen. There needs to be an accident. Think of homeowners insurance. When you buy a home, you definitely want to have homeowners insurance because, again, if something happens in a home, generally it's major. And if it's major, you may not have the funds to cover some sort of major accident or natural disaster that will happen in your home. If not, your insurance policy is something that you have in place to cover that. Again, something unexpected and something bad has to happen. Let's get to life insurance. Life insurance is typically a death benefit. You need to die, or the person that insured is going to die before anything happens with that insurance. Typically. Now, there are different insurances, and we'll talk about those different ones that can come into play even before a person passes away. But in general, people use life insurance as a death benefit. So, in order for it to be activated or to come into play, or for those large lump sums to be paid out, you have to pass away. No rush to do that, right? Nobody is rushing to do that. And if you are rushing to do that, the insurance company has covered themselves on that too. So we'll talk about that as well. So think about it. When you're talking about, I'm paying all this money for life insurance and I'm not getting any benefit out of it, generally something has to happen in order for that lump sum to be paid out. We will talk about some of the things that can happen while you're alive, where there is benefit or are benefits to having life insurance before you pass away. But in general, life insurance is just like any other insurance. Something needs to happen in order for the benefits to be paid out. That's one. The second thing is, in general, there are just two main categories of life insurance. There are a lot of different life insurances out there with a lot of different options and a lot of different riders, but they generally fall under two categories. It's either a term policy or a whole life / permanent policy. Term means it has an end date. It can be good from the time that it goes into effect for the next 10 years, 20 years, 25, 30 years. It generally has an end date. A whole life or permanent policy is for your whole life. It is in place permanently. Both of these insurances are in place for whatever time period you choose, as long as you pay your premium. What is your premium? Your monthly payment. If you do not pay that premium and you go past the grace period, you are probably going to get canceled. And then your policy goes away. There's some things you have to go through. You may have to start all over again, getting new insurance, or whatever the company requires that you do. But if you're paying your premium, your policy goes on until your term or your whole life. Two main categories. Which one do you choose? Well, it depends on your individual situation. Individual situation. Doesn't matter what your cousin's doing, what your mama's doing, what your auntie's doing, what your uncle's doing, what your coworker's doing. It's about you and your family, you and your situation. If you are a mom, say you're a single mom or a single dad, and you're raising two children, you are the breadwinner. You are the one who puts money in the home. You take care of the bills. You take care of your children well. If you pass away, do you have money set aside to bring that bread back in? Or do you bring that bread back in through a life insurance policy? Most people, it's going to be a good idea to have life insurance to protect you. If you are married and you have two children and you all have a car and a mortgage, and maybe both of you work or one person works, if you bring money into that household and that household depends on your income, life insurance could help your family replace that income should you pass away. Another good reason. If you are single and ready to mingle, you don't have any kids, your bills are limited, you're not married, can you use life insurance? Sure, there very well may be a place for you. If you pass away, there will be funeral costs. There may be final expenses that need to be taken care of. Just because you're single and ready to mingle doesn't mean you do not need life insurance. Again, it depends on your individual situation. Do not worry about what your mama, cousin, auntie, uncle, friend said. It's what is important to you. If you are very wealthy and you have a lot of assets, and you know that through estate planning with an estate planning attorney that you could very well have a high tax bill when you pass away, guess what? Life insurance can help you cover that tax bill, or help your family, the people that you left behind, cover that tax bill. So there's all types of reasons why life insurance is important. Let's talk about one of the reasons why I personally think that people should have life insurance besides replacing your income. It is for legacy planning. So it's one of the easiest, most inexpensive ways to leave a legacy. So if you buy, for example, a whole life policy for $500,000 or $1 million or whatever, and you leave that over to your family or your trust as a beneficiary, then you are leaving a legacy, or your intention is to leave a legacy. Now, you may have to write out how you want things taken care of, or you may have that trusted executor or person that is going to make sure things are taken care of. But your intent is to leave a legacy for the next generation to build on. So many people in the past, so many cultures in the past have left their heirs, their beneficiaries, their children with large lump sum payments or lump sum death benefits because they weren't able to give it to them while they were living. They worked with somebody to set up something that could help them leave a legacy, and then it gives that next person a head start, right? They don't leave them buried in debt. They don't leave them having to find ways to cover their funeral, which it happens. I'm sorry that it happens, that people have to depend on the church or GoFundMe or Fish Fry or whatever. People do whatever they need to do to make things happen. But there's a way that we can take care of that so that when we pass away, it doesn't happen. Because only one thing I can guarantee you, we all have a 100% chance of dying. And it's hard to say that, it's hard to hear that, but that is what's going to happen. And so a lot of people prepare for it, or you are unprepared for it, or your family's unprepared for it. And the people left behind are the ones who have to handle that. So just a few reasons why you may have life insurance. How much you should have, that depends on your individual situation. You want to talk to someone who is able to help you, like myself, someone who's able to help you determine what's the right amount. The other thing that I want to mention is that when you're getting life insurance, depending on how old you are, how much you weigh, how tall you are, how your health is, your premium can very, very well be affected. Listen, the insurance company is a business. They are in a profitable business. They are in business to make a profit. They're not in business to necessarily lose money. So they are looking at factors like your morbidity. How likely are you to pass away in the next year or 2 years or 3 years or 5 years or 10 years or 20 years or whatever. They are looking at how much risk this person brings to our company. Right? So if you are someone who is 25, you're fairly healthy, you're looking for, $50,000, $250,000 policy or whatever it may be, you may not be much risk to them. But if you were overweight and then you lost 100 pounds, that is good. That is great. But they want to know that you're going to be able to keep that off. If you were a smoker, that is a question that they are going to ask. And I'm talking about cigarettes in this case, tobacco in this case. They're going to ask you that because, again, that is someone who they would consider more risky. If you smoke marijuana, they do not consider that as someone who is necessarily risky. So actually, tobacco and marijuana, companies look at those a little differently. Vape, if you're a vapor, I guess that's what you call it. If you vape or you smoke cigarettes, any type of tobacco, that's a little more risky from the underwriter's perspective than someone who smokes marijuana recreationally. Now, they didn't say you need to go out and smoke every day, that you wake up smoking, go to bed smoking. But recreational smoking is okay for some companies. So that's smoking, that's health. Even someone who has had a health issue maybe a few years ago, they'll make you wait, a couple years, 2 years, 3 years to kind of see if you're in the clear to approve you. Or they will give you a rating. And a rating, that is all based on the underwriter that is looking at your health, looking at your records, seeing if you are someone who is not risky, a little bit risky, in the middle risky, or very, 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 very risky. And they rate you based on your risk level, and your premiums change based on your risk levels. So the other thing about life insurance is a lot of times people ask, should I get life insurance on my children? And again, that is going to be an individual situation. So it is tricky. I before was not one who's like go out and buy a whole bunch of life insurance on children, but I see unfortunately that we've had a lot of cases of children passing away and people just not being able to cover the expenses. So getting smaller policies to help if something should happen to your children. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. However, I think there's a right way to do that. So I always use myself as an example. My grandmother bought a life insurance policy for me, on me and a few other kids. I think she wanted to do it for all the kids, but her kids kept having kids, so she couldn't do it for everybody. But I just remember that she paid every month on these life insurance policies, and I know that one of them was for me. And so when I graduated high school, I remember that she got $1,000, and she gave that to me. Like, that was part of my graduation gift. So I don't really remember what that policy was. I just know that, you know, after that it ended. Like, that was the end of it. Now, that was great. That was long time ago when I graduated high school. So $1,000 at that time seemed like a lot, and it was, and I was grateful. Like, not who gets, you know, $1,000 that their grandmother gave them, you know, when they graduated high school. Not everybody has that, and I appreciate the sacrifice and the payments that she made. Could she have done something different? Well, knowing what I know now, there probably are different options that she could have chosen, but she did the best she could with the information that she knew at that time. So buying life insurance on your children, certainly something that, excuse me, you can consider. You just want to make sure that it is right for you and your family. The last thing that I'm going to say is, if you are someone who has had some health challenges, or it took a while to get your life insurance policies in place, to get you approved, like, try to keep those in place. Like, don't mess around with your premiums and not paying those, because if you get dropped, it's sometimes really hard to get approved again. So try to really make sure that you pay those premiums. I'm going to have a part 2 for this month on life insurance, and it's going to talk about the different types of life insurance policies and the different, what they call, riders, and all of the juicy stuff. But for now, this is just the basics. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. Make sure that you share this video. Make sure you like, subscribe to my channel, share with your friends, and come back for part 2. So set up your notifications so that you will be alerted when part 2 of this video comes out. Until next time, have a great day.